Vera City, a peaceful place full of sunshine smiles and zero kidnappings until today. Enter Miserable, a bitter old witch kidnaps Minnie, Mickey's girlfriend, and traps her in the Twisted Lair. Miserable plans to steal Minnie's youth and beauty, using dark magic to drain her life force. Now, Mickey's a tiny mouse with a big heart has to brave a dangerous journey through Miserable's strange world, facing angry toys, haunted libraries, and desserts. With nothing but his wits, some daring jumps, and a mean butt stomp, can Mickey stop Miserable before she robs Minnie of everything she is? Aloha, my name is Mike, and I'm a former US Navy Seabee. I'd like to welcome you to the Gaming Road Warrior channel, where we talk about retro games from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Today, we're going to take a look at a game that defined the 1990s, Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. In this episode, we're going to go behind the scenes to talk about the development process, story, characters, and gameplay of Castle of Illusion. And we're going to take some time to talk about Airwolf for the Sega Genesis in the 90s game break. Grab your throwing apples and let's get ready to drop your booty on some minions, because it's time to hit the throttle to the gaming wasteland. I still remember the first time I saw Castle of Illusion at Electronics Boutique back in the late 90s. At the time, I already owned a Sega Nomad, my portable gaming lifeline during my time in the Navy. I had to play Sega Genesis games in the barracks since we weren't allowed to have full consoles. But with permission from my chain of command, my Nomad became my go-to system for some much needed downtime. Castle of Illusion was one of those games that caught my eye, right alongside Castlevania Bloodlines. I'd always wanted to pick it up, but for some reason I never did. Looking back, I guess I was starting to transition into the world of CD-based systems, leaving cartridges behind in the favor of the newer tech. Fast forward to today, and having my own game and movie room has really reignited my love for retro gaming. I miss that tangible feeling of playing with cartridges. So this time, I was determined Castle of Illusion was going to be part of my collection. I finally picked it up, and I wasn't just going to play it. I was going to beat it, and you know what? It feels great to check that off the list. Released in North America on November 20th, 1990, Castle of Illusion is a classic Sega Genesis side-scrolling platformer that puts a Disney twist on a tried and tested formula. This game was the first in a wave of Disney titles released throughout the 90s, and although you probably remember the Genesis for a certain blue hedgehog, many 90s kids remember their adventures with a different rodent just as fondly. Throughout the 80s and into the 90s, Sega fought a losing battle against Nintendo. The House of Mario had quickly become a global game company sensation thanks to its potent combination of arcade games, home consoles, and iconic characters, releasing one banger after another. For a long time, the company seemed to be pretty much unstoppable, especially in the North American market. Despite that, Sega tried to find a way to carve out some space for itself with gamers. The Master System, unfortunately, wasn't able to do that even with its small collection of awesome games.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video game, the Sega Master System.
Hang on!
With more accurate control, more detailed graphics, more levels of play.
Awesome!
The Sega Master System comes with power-based 2 control pads, light phaser, and 2 great video games, Hang On and Safari Hunt.
Gotcha!
And with other games like Rambo, Outrun, and Choplifter, the excitement never stops. The Sega Master System. The challenge will always be there.
But towards the end of its life cycle, Sega noticed how strong the connection was between Nintendo fans and Nintendo IP. This led to Sega higher-ups forming a strategy that involved licensing well-known brands and characters that they could include or build games around for their upcoming console, the Sega Genesis. Michael Jackson. Ghostbusters. Rambo. Spider-Man.
No need to panic. Could be critical. The odds are against you. Spider-Man faces 20 supervillains so powerful even with the Fantastic Four. His number may be up. Marvel's Spider-Man, the video game from Acclaim.
And a ton of other recognized names and celebrities were licensed to Sega, but they still needed their ace in the hole, something with enough global brand recognition to go up against Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, and all of Nintendo's IP. This is where Disney enters the picture. As a company, Disney made most of its money at this time by licensing out its characters anyway, and the only thing it was really concerned about was having its characters attached to low-quality products and experiences. So after several meetings and proposals between Disney and Sega head honchos, including Sega of America President Michael Katz, Disney Consumer Products Wing was convinced. In 1989, the deal was struck, and Sega's developers immediately got to work on new games featuring Disney's eternal mascot, Mickey Mouse. Along with a game based on the classic Disney film Fantasia, an all-original Mickey Mouse adventure by the name of Castle of Illusion entered development. First-time game director Emiko Yamamoto was given the task of infusing a game with Disney magic. She came to the project with a ton of ideas of her own, and rather than making a cookie-cutter platformer, Yamamoto and her team at Sega of Japan wanted to make a game that felt larger than players' living rooms and did justice to the wider Disney audience. In 2013, 23 years after Castle of Illusion's original release, Yamamoto said she wanted to design the game world with the essence of Disney, a positive place of dreams, peace, and imagination. Considering how well the game holds up today, 35 years after the game first came out, I'd say she did a good job. Now, because the entire Disney empire was built on impressively fluid animation, the dev team knew that they had to really nail that Disney look and feel for Castle of Illusion. They studied dozens of hours of footage, often taken in scenes frame by frame, to make sure they understood Disney animators' methods correctly, while creating their own animations. Art director Takashi Yuda followed a few key principles in the animation process, an emphasis on emotion and consistent movement. Because of these, Mickey was given an idle animation, a very familiar looking tapping of his foot. Due to the hardware limitations of the Sega Genesis, there wasn't enough VRAM to include the constant movement that Yuda and the animators had envisioned, but rather than give up on it or compromise their vision, the art department worked closely with Sega programmers to rebuild the code to make everything fit and work correctly. While Yamamoto, Yuda, and their respective teams worked towards building the game, Sega and Disney continued to work closely together to make sure the project was meeting deadlines and requirements set in their licensing agreement. Disney producer Stephen Butler and Sega of America's senior producer Jim Hooter especially remained in contact to ensure the Mickey in Castle of Illusion felt authentic to the Mickey in every other Disney product. The duo also provided feedback on gameplay and helped shape the final product in a big way. After roughly a year in development, Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse, launched on November 20th, 1990 to glowing reviews. Critics called it one of the most fabulous run-and-jump games ever created, and said that it was a game even Walt Disney himself would have been proud of. Now that we know how it was made, let's talk about Castle of Illusion itself. Like I described at the beginning of the video, Castle of Illusion begins with Mickey and Minnie Mouse on vacation in Vera City, which is a play on the word veracity, which refers to something that follows the truth. There's a lot of fun wordplay in here, and I'll do my best to point it out as it comes up. So Mickey and Minnie are on vacation, and the evil witch, Miserable, gets jealous of how pretty, popular, and happy Minnie is. So she kidnaps her. That's not how I would have handled the situation, but I'm not an evil witch, so what do I know? Anyway, Miserable takes Minnie back to her castle of illusions, so that she can steal her soul.
I'll get you, my pretty, and yours of soul, too!
I meant youth and happiness, and Mickey races behind them to the castle to save Minnie. And well, that's basically it for the story. It's very simple, just like all classic Disney cartoons are. So I think that makes the game better and more authentic rather than worse. Aside from the three main members of the cast, there are also some iconic boss battles that were inspired by various Disney projects. Even Miserable herself is designed to look like the witch from Snow White. Castle of Illusions gameplay is intentionally very simple at first glance, but it does have some depth that gives more skilled players a chance to challenge themselves. For instance, Mickey's only attacks are throwing items and bouncing off of enemies to eliminate them, but you have to actively press the down button in the air over an enemy to initiate the attack. This is different from, say, a Mario game where you have to jump and land on an enemy to do the attack. Enemies are also placed in clusters that can be taken out with a single jump if the player has the right timing. Because of the stipulations in the Disney licensing agreement, Mickey can't actually die. That meant that the traditional lives counter had to be changed to tries instead, which I guess implies that Mickey just falls down and gets back up until he can't anymore? I don't know about you, but either you're in a coma or you're dead. I don't know, but hey, it's a kid's game, so I get it. Anyway, the goal of the game is to navigate the castle, get past enemies, and fight interesting boss characters like the Licorice Dragon and the Stormmen until Mickey has enough gems to activate the castle's Rainbow Bridge. Then he can cross over to Miserable's lair for the final showdown. Now let's talk about Castle of Illusions pros and cons. Pros. Really incredible animation that definitely holds up. Great platforming gameplay. Awesome boss fights. Fun story and a creative world. Cons. Really short, just 5 levels and basically no replayability. Some levels can feel unfairly difficult. Some levels like the Dessert Factory have a lot going on visually. No run button, and Mickey walks pretty slowly.
90s Game Break.
Airwolf on the Sega Genesis, the helicopter game that's got enough action to make you feel like a badass, even if it's a bit rough around the edges. Based on the 80s TV show, you take control of the infamous Airwolf chopper, flying through levels packed with enemies, missions, and plenty of explosions. It's a hack of the Sega Mega Drive version, and while it's not the most polished game out there, it's got that 80s arcade charm. You'll be dodging missiles, rescuing hostages, and taking down bad guys in a way that feels straight out of an action flick. The difficulty ramps up fast, so you're constantly on your toes, trying to survive. Of course, the fun's in the boss fights. They come at you like a freight train, and when you finally beat them, it's the kind of sweet victory you'll remember. Plus, the retro 80s synth soundtrack really ties it all together. It's like you're in the middle of your own action-packed movie. Now, if you've ever played Airwolf on the NES, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That game was a mess. Awkward controls, confusing missions, and a general sense of, why am I playing this? But this Airwolf on the Genesis, it's a whole different beast. It might not be perfect, but it's leagues ahead of the NES disaster. Airwolf on the Sega Genesis won't blow you away with groundbreaking graphics, but for fans of the show and classic helicopter action, It's a fun, nostalgic ride worth revisiting. Get in the cockpit and let's fly. Take to the skies with Airwolf. Overall, Castle of Illusion is nothing short of a classic. And honestly, I'm kicking myself for not owning it sooner. But hey, better late than never. Playing it now is an absolute blast. Seriously, it's like stepping back into a magical Disney world on your Sega console. The 16-bit graphics, pure magic. It's got that timeless charm that just hits different even today. If you're a Disney fan, a Sega enthusiast, or just someone who loves an epic platforming adventure, Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse should absolutely be on your radar. Trust me, this game's got all the magic and excitement you'd expect from a Disney classic, wrapped up in some seriously fun 16-bit goodness. Don't miss out, give it a try and let the nostalgia hit you like a classic Disney movie on repeat. And that wraps up our look into Castle of Illusion. What do you think? Is it one of the best games on the Genesis? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Take care and remember, gaming is your road to adventure.